Well then, was Damkar in Europe, or Fez, or Damascus, or Damasco? You may limit yourself, Arthur, but then we are well aware that you like to deny plenty which actually took place, if it give you grief to admit it. And I don't agree with their note, by the way, because like they're trying to imply that Francis Bacon was the original writer of Shakespeare. And don't get me wrong, I mean, he had the talent to write stuff like that, but you have to put his work side by side with Shakespeare to understand one man couldn't have written all of that literature from both people. You know what I mean? It's just impossible. Um, Francis Bacon wrote a lot just on his own. He's also the one that came out with the New Atlantis, which I was talking to you about earlier, Karma. So, a lot of this has to do with what we've been reading when it's concerning the Neoplatonism and Hellenistic beliefs and how it affected the 1600s. The strange part about all of it is like Phoenician history was supposed to be missing and lost, but for some reason it got blended into the secret societies. So that's what really stands out to me about
And
that.
then
Go ahead.
there was something else that right. No, it was just because, and then you think about how much we know about like Greek mythology, and then supposedly like that's where a lot of the information came from Greek accounts, which despite the fact that they were kind of enemies, I think that's interesting as well. And then finding out that it goes with secret society teaching, and for them
Mm-hmm.
to be quote unquote lost, more like secret, it sounds like you said, yeah, no, that
Yeah.
is interesting.
It's really interesting because, I mean, I'm not going to go as far as to say as the secret societies lasted all the way back to the mystery schools, you know, but they did retain a lot of the knowledge that was back there in those mystery schools. So that does seem pretty interesting, you know, and that sticks out to me. So let me continue here. Okay, it stands to fall. Oh, it stands or falls on the authority of Thorey, who says that a letter by the Baron de Westerode is in the archives of the Philosophical Rite, that it was written from Ratisbon in 1784, that it was addressed to the head tribunal, that it contains the Ormus story, and that the story in question is described as received in Sweden, which may mean that it is a traditional history belonging to the Swedish rite of masonry, in incorporation of many elements, that according to de Westerode, the Rosicrucians came to Europe in 1188, an important date connected with Templar history, that three of the Adepti proceeded to Scotland and there established an order of Masons of the East. This legend is naturally set aside by Thorey. There is very little doubt that he had seen the letter of Baron de Westerode, and the present whereabouts of which are beyond speculation, as the archives of the Scottish philosophical rites were dispersed on February the 23rd, 1860. A catalogue was printed, but I have failed to obtain a copy. Baron de Westerode was on the council of the Rite of Philothes and was present at the convention of Paris summoned by the illustrious Masonic body. Now, why did he do this? This work originally came out in 1924 at the same time that the collection of Masonic articles of his own compiled together under the name Emblematic Freemasonry. Okay, hold on. At the same time that a collection of Masonic articles of his were compiled together under the name Emblematic Freemasonry. In there he speaks of the Knights of the Morning and of Palestine. Shoddy's legend and writes there in his new encyclopedia about the Thebaid Solitaries, about the knights who were contacted by them, who went back to Europe, about the depositing of a sacred treasure in the crypt of the three kings of Uppsala. We see in the legends already quoted at the beginning of the part 4 of book 2 pertaining to the gold R plus C snipped remnants of the story. So that is Ormus, and Ormus is actually an old Greek cult that or actually Phoenician cult that was started, and then it was incorporated into the Greeks, and the Greeks actually created a mystery school out of it, just so people know. And these are writings that were supposed to connect the Rosy Cross and the Rosicrucian together with these mystery schools, which I wouldn't do on my history topic, but it is Halloween and I thought it was cool to discuss. Plus I
think you picked a good one. And yeah. It leads into tonight's show on Pirate Radio that I'm sure you're going to be at, right?
I believe so. What time are they doing it?
Well, same time.
Same time.
11 o'clock. Yeah, well, 11 for me. But yeah, same time. I'm only going to be able to stay for a bit. I have a show tonight myself. But I'll be there for a while.
Now, another thing that I wanted to bring up too was the Judgment of Solomon. Now, a lot of people aren't aware of that either, but the Judgment of Solomon is a story from the Hebrew Bible in which Solomon ruled between two women who both claimed to be the mother of a child. Solomon.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, right. And the one lady was like, well, look, if you're not going to be able to tell, the one lady's baby died in the middle of the night. And then after the baby died in the middle of the night, she stole the other lady's baby. The other lady knew it was her baby. And so the king was like, yeah, look, this is what I'm going to do to find out. Just so that way y'all both can have the baby, since no one really knows. I'm going to just split the baby in half. And the girl that stole the baby was like, okay, cool, split the baby in half. No one that would kill the baby. But the mom was like, no, she can have it because it's her baby. She wanted to keep it alive. Right? That's the story?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that story is so dope because I think about that just like with the life. How many times people will kill something in order for them to say they have a part of it, as opposed to allowing it to live in its fruitfulness and its divinity. So that story is always in my head because people do that a lot. They'll kill the kid before they let the rightful owner have it,
Right. And Solomon ordered that the baby be given to the second woman, as her love was selfless, as opposed to the first woman's selfish disregard for the baby's actual well-being. Some consider this approach to justice as archetypal. The concept of an archetypal appears in areas relating to behavior, historical psychology, and literary analysis. Now, Some consider this approach to justice as archetypal example of an impartial judge displaying wisdom in making a ruling. Now, the biblical narrative is in 1 Kings 3:16 to 28. It recounts that two mothers living in the same house, each the mother of an infant son, came to Solomon. One of the babies had been smothered, and each claimed the remaining boy as her own. Calling for a sword, Solomon declared his judgment. The baby would be cut in two. Each woman would receive half. One mother did not contest the ruling, declaring that if she could not have the baby, then neither of them could. But the other begged Solomon, "Give the baby to her, just don't kill him." The king declared the second woman the true mother, as a mother would even give up their baby if that was necessary to save its life, and awarding her custody. The judgment became known throughout all of Israel and was considered an example of profound wisdom. So that was something that I wanted to bring up there, and I wanted to find more when it came to Ordeus or whatever it was, but there really wasn't much that I could pull up on it. I probably could have dug into it a little bit more, but I figured it would be something that would be good to mention and everything. And like I said, I just wanted to let everybody know that we are going to stop with the Phoenicians, and then me and Karma just discussed it. We're going to start discussing the Canaanites, because with me, I think that if we go from the Phoenicians to the Canaanites, it's going to show kind of like a direct connection on how the Phoenicians and the Canaanites and the Egyptians were influenced by older lore and older deities, gods and stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting. And like I said, I have noticed the Amorites and a lot of the stuff that we've been discussing, plus some stuff that I've checked out before I even started doing these streams with the Sumerians. So that's an aspect that I'm going to have to look at right there. So hold on.
And then we can tie the Sumerian and the Canaanites history, because I feel like they have a closer connection than the than the Phoenicians and the Sumerians. Even though they do have a connection, it's all interconnected. But I feel like going here with the Canaanite, they probably are like the extension branch, like Phoenicia is on his one side, and then Sumerians on a different side. Canaanites kind of in the middle, both all stemming, which kind of creates them in the form of like a triangle, so where they're interconnected, even though that they have different points. So it'll be good once you start doing the Sumerian history, just based off of what I've been learning with you guys.
So, kind of give us a little feedback on what you're saying. For a second, I got to come out here and talk to my mom real quick. So just kind of give some feedback and the way you've seen what we've been going through and what direction we're going to be taking. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, what I was just saying is we've been learning a lot about Phoenician history and how it ties into a lot of other cultures. There are a lot of different cultures in regards to some of the deities that we learn about in Phoenician history that kind of interact and overlap in different cultures. So with the Canaanites and the Phoenicians seem to be very interconnected, and so as well as the Sumerians and the Canaanites. So I think it's kind of cool that we have this type of opportunity to use the Canaanites in the middle as being able to see where they are, their roles in history, different stories that are being told, and then be able to kind of outbranch again to where we're going to Sumerian history, because they're all kind of forming, like I was saying, a triangle, to where it would probably be Canaanites at the top, and then you have Sumerian history on one side, and then you have Phoenician history on the other, and they all also have a line drawn to them as well, but all both stemming towards the Canaanites. But that was that. Also, too,
Yeah.
there's a lot of Egyptian culture that's tied into the Phoenician history. Like, in general, every single culture seems to kind of go back toward the Egyptian history, where we really should attempt to get it to some point, because, like, even Greek culture